finish this beer first, maybe.
Okay. Ooh.
And then we
Nice,
can do it properly.
Which one's that? Which Arbor, yeah?
A Rocket Man.
Okay.
I haven't seen it for a little while, but it's one of their sort of, I think, all year round brewed beers.
Yeah.
I don't know why I haven't seen it. Maybe I just haven't. I have seen it. I just haven't grabbed it because I know kind of, what it is. But
known quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think I've got a stout from them that I haven't seen before.
Ooh.
Probably not a new one, just maybe one new to
Do you know what it's called?
me in Birmingham. Oh gosh, I can't remember. I'm trying to think. Is it Blue Font? Sometimes I can usually remember the name if I remember the font.
There's a purple one which I think is called The Devil Made Me Brew It, which is a little bit lighter.
It may be that one.
They've just done one which is it might be more creamy. I think it's called like a mini milk or something like that, which is like, again, a really low % milk stout. Or the one they've just released, which I had on the episode with Adel a couple of weeks ago, was called Tick Tonk, which was a tonka bean stout, which was nice.
I'll have to go after we finish the call and let you know.
Yeah.
But I was like, ooh.
Good.
I like Arbor. I very much
Beers for another time, perhaps. But
Mm-hmm.
for tonight, welcome, friends, to Tanked Up the podcast, all about video games and beer. I'm one of your hosts, Ben. It's episode 368, and I'm here with Lucy.
Ooh.
Hey, what are we drinking this evening? Not what are we drinking maybe later in this evening when we're not on air or tomorrow. What are we drinking right now?
What am I drinking right now? Been waiting a few weeks for this one.
Ooh. Is it a new jug for your water?
Not this week. No, it's an actual beer this time round.
Nice.
It's from Amundsen.
Ooh.
It is part of the Scream Eggs series. Yes, it is a series. Nice. This one is the dark chocolate and coffee Scream pastry stout. Because there's a few, and I think I opted for the one that's like, they're throwing tons of words and ingredients and caramel and nougat and all this and that, and it's like, okay, this one seems like the most manageable in terms of like a sweetness and just, sickly cloying kind of aspect.
There's only 4 adjuncts that they've limited themselves.
Rather than 12.
Yeah.
I say that, but it's like even the ones that have got like tons of stuff in them and things that I don't usually typically like caramel, for example, they've still been really good. So, usually onto a winner when a Munson come round. But,
nice.
Yes, that's what I've got. It's 440 ml, which is always nice. Because theirs is usually 330. It's 7%, which is I guess that's why it's in 440.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly for a Munson's standards, it's probably like 2-3% lower than their average stout. So yeah. This has caramel in it, does it? I just read something in a different language that looks like caramel. Okay, where's the English? Oats. Obviously, water, malty barley, oats. It doesn't.
Are you translating this from Dutch or something?
No, I'm reading the English. It's a bit hard to see because it's silver can and my eyesight is probably getting worse by the day. But just says, aroma, hops, yeast. So they've put aroma in it. Ben, there's aroma in it. Yeah. Okay. I was like, is it going to be aroma : chocolate? No, it just says aroma, hops, yeast. Just like,
any aroma they felt like at the time.
Yeah,
just chucked it in. Yeah,
they put something in it. Yeah. What have you got?
I am drinking an Arbor beer, but it's a collaboration with Marble, and I haven't had a beer from Marble for time. Absolutely ages. It comes in pints and it's a double IPA. It is 8%. I have had this before. It was kind of when I went around to the shop around the corner just now. I thought, I'll grab some Arbors. I don't think I've had this on the podcast. It is a very new beer. I've only had one of them so far. Little bit of flavour text. Made with our friends from Manchester's legendary Marble Brewery. This double IPA was brewed with Citra, Simcoe, and Lemon Drop hops galore, and it comes in pints. Well, I don't know. It comes in pints. Is that do Marble make pints as well?
Yeah, I think they do. It looks like a Marble can, just like the colouring.
Mm-hmm.
What's that, like a deep green?
Yes. Yep.
It's like the very stark logo.
Yeah.
On there, yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah, I think they do.
So I think that makes a little bit more sense, considering Arbor always come in pints.
Yeah.
Unless it's sometimes they do like supermarket 440s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, even their big beers, they're like, this is a sharing can. It's 4,000%, but share it with like 12 friends. Are in their pint cans. So yes, that is what I am drinking. We'll roll back round to the Amundsen.
I mean, it looks like Coca-Cola almost. Yeah. It's poured with absolutely zero head. Like nothing there. Crazy.
It's got like it's almost got like a little brown sort of carbonated ring around the edge, hasn't it?
Yes. But that's very minimal. It does look like I've poured a Coke. But yeah, solid block of colour. I think it's. I can't really tell if the light is it just. I mean, it's got a little. In fact, actually, no, it doesn't have any light bleed at the bottom. It's just like a solid block of colour. Oh, it smells lovely though. It smells like a bit of vanilla, like roasted coffee.
Nice.
Yeah, pleasant aroma, pleasant. But let's see how it tastes.
It does. I mean, it's a Munson. You'd expect it not to be, but it looks a little thin.
Say that, and that's what my worry was. It's got some body to it.
Nice.
I think that's a nice sweet spot. Like, you're not going to get like the very thick, dense, viscous, like 9, 10, 11% beers. But what I'm usually like reticent about, if like stouts that like 7% or porters, it's just like, yes, they are a bit too thin and they just don't get that body across.
Sure.
It's kind of crazy because the start of the sip, it seems a bit thin. And then, like, I don't know if it's all that chocolate, all that coffee that they've packed in, it just bolsters that body.
Okay.
And it's just like, it feels like completely different, the aftertaste to like the initial taste, where it's like, oh, this is going to be a bit thin, a bit watery, a bit wishy-washy, and then it's like, no, we got you.
Brilliant.
Yeah. They know how to make stouts.
Yeah, well, absolutely. If any brewery in the world know how to make stouts, it's Amundsen.
Absolutely. But it's not heavy. I'd say it's probably. Oh, I guess you could say it's medium-bodied, but it's still got that moorishness, and it's still got that biscuitiness from like the malt, and it's got the chocolate. It's got the. I guess it's strained towards, dark chocolate rather than milk chocolate. You've got that bit of the bitterness, but that can also be like from the coffee flavour as well. But it's also like pared back where it's not too heavy, it's not too cloying. It's just the right amount of everything. It's just so well balanced. And I mean I guess they put it out for Easter, I'm guessing, because it was a few weeks back where a few of them, but yeah, this is what I'd want for my Easter egg. A can of this probably costs the same amount as an Easter egg.
Yes, absolutely. It could only be more Eastery if it was dispensed within a chocolate egg, couldn't it? Just a straw in the top, and you can just sort of sup from it and then crack it, and it's all just chocolate soaked in beer. Then that it's been sat in for a while. Ideas, Lucy. I'm throwing ideas out there because shit like the Vampire Survivors anime is happening, because obviously they listen to the podcast, and I'm the only person ever that's had that idea. I'm just going to start throwing shit out into the void.
Into the universe, and all the good stuff will come true.
Absolutely. See what happens.
Yeah. No, but that's a really good beer. I'm glad I waited to have it on the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Amazing.
Switching to the double IPA, a similar percent to the beer that you've got. It's got a lovely sweet nose.
I mean, that's a good looking beer.
It is. It's very, very light. It's not as dark as, or maybe quite as orangey as you would get from sort of what you would expect for a double IPA, I suppose.
Yeah.
It had quite a frothy head. It dissipated quite quickly, but it's got a lovely sweet nose. Oh no, Lucy, you've gone. Where did you go? Disappeared into the ether of the internet.
Back.
You are back.
Incredibly strange. I don't know what happened there.
Your face is just disappeared.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
It just shut down and restarted. So
it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Computers are a joy.
Great thing.
I've got that lovely icon down in my tray that suggests that my PC needs an update, so I am going to make sure that I've saved everything, because it will just do it at some random point. It will say it's going to do it tomorrow at 6, and I'll wake up and it's done it at like 2 in the morning instead. I'm just like,
how dare you be proactive?
Come on.
How dare you?
Well, yeah. You tell me it's going to be 6 o'clock tomorrow night. It's 2 in the morning. You've done it. Anyway. The joys. Yes, so lovely sweet nose. It's almost a little kind of like candy floss. It's that sort of candy kind of sweetness to it.
Rather than like sugar that you'd get from fruits.
Yes.
Or but that, not artificial as such, but like candy.
Absolutely. And that's very much comes through in the nose. The flavour is a lot more subtle. So you don't get that kind of artificial, again, not quite artificial sweetness, but very sweetness. The flavour dials it back a little bit. And as double IPAs have become over the last, I suppose, 18 months to 2 years, it's got a few more of those kind of earthy tones to it. It's not quite leaning, it doesn't lean into the sort of slightly more salady or oniony kind of edge to it. It's just got a little bit of kind of earthiness to it, a little bit of kind of like grassy kind of, and it's not going into sort of like dank, weedy. It's almost a little vegetal, but it maintains a little bit of that sweetness as well that you get on the nose. So it kind of balances it into this, I suppose, like midpoint. Again, it's not a big fruit bomb. It's not a juice bomb. But it's trying to start off as that, and then almost mellowing, I suppose, into something that is a little more vegetal. And that's nice. It's very it's very gradual, that flow between the two. You know, you've got that nice sort of sweetness for maybe 5-8 seconds, something like that, and then it sort of goes, oh, actually, let's just fade slightly and present all of these background flavors that are going on as well. And whilst that is maybe a bit kind of, you know, there's kind of one tone to it. Then once those sweetness sort of elements have disappeared, there's kind of one tone, and it's just vegetal without a huge amount more kind of going on to it. That mellowing is the thing that kind of draws you in with this beer. That there is that little bit of a journey when you have it, and that rather than it trying to maintain that sweetness throughout the whole thing, by mellowing it, it actually makes it that little easier to sort of drink. It makes it a little softer than it just being kind of juice bomb, sweetness, thick, and it being kind of like, oh wow, like, you know, it's not like fruit juice. So it kind of, as I say, just mellows it that little bit. And there's a hint of bitterness kind of towards the end, but not much at all. It kind of even mellows that kind of earthy vegetal kind of flavour out a little bit more as well. And so you get to a point where now it's starting to dry out and actually leaving me with not much of a flavour at all. Like it's almost disappeared completely. So it doesn't. I mean, it's odd because it doesn't linger. You expect a double IPA to be that bit bigger and the flavours to stick around that little bit more. But actually, it's, as I say, it's very subtle in its flavours. Everything feels like it could have been here, but they've made it maybe just a little lower. They've dialed it back slightly, perhaps just to broaden the audience, let's say, a little bit, maybe.
It's a strange one because, like, when you've got all those things that you described to me, like the last thing I thought you'd say is that, yeah, the taste just disappears at the end, especially for a double IPA. You know, it's just even, it's just, where's it gone?
Yeah.
Like,
I think as it kind of sits and as I drink more of it, I think that kind of that mellowing out across and that kind of complete disappearance will, I guess, like those edges will filter out that little bit and it will become kind of more of this middle sort of earthy kind of flavour throughout. So this is what I can't remember what I felt about it when I drank it a week or so ago. To remember why I thought, yes, let's drink this beer on the podcast. But yeah, we'll see what it's like in about an hour, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, beer's one of those really fun things where it's like sometimes the day just catches you right, and you have a really good experience with a beer, and it could just be a middling beer overall, but
Absolutely,
sometimes it's just like, yep, this hits the spot.
Yeah.
Some days it doesn't, and that's not even, dependent on like the brewery and, different batches or stuff like that. Sometimes it's just like, today was Saturday and I'm already drunk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, as you say, like if I hadn't have had like the Rocket Man before this, it may come through a little bit differently. It might that sort of the flavour might not disappear because the Rocket Man's quite a good kind of all round like American IPA. Very solid in its kind of flavour, a little bit of bitterness, a lot of citrus in there. So very solid beer. With a flavour that sort of like sticks around, and it might just be that difference between the two that I'm like, I've just had a beer where the flavour was there, that I notice it a little bit more within this beer. So absolutely, as we've talked about previously, that the beers you have been drinking before will affect the kind of the next sort of beers that you have. We've probably had episodes, when we used to do slightly longer form. Where we have 2 or 3 beers on a podcast. The third beer, we're like, got no idea what this tastes like. It's a stout. It's got some stuff in it. The last beer was like a 12% barley wine, so that's fucked up my taste palate completely. This beer is just a beer. Cool, fine.
Just go to any podcast where it's like end of the year, or we've all been in the room together. There's no highbrow.
Absolutely. Like eight beers in, you're like, what beer is this? Don't know. Beer.
I think it's beer. Consistency of beer.
Yeah.
Could be anything. Should be drinking a Coke. Yeah.
Brilliant. Let's enjoy these then, and discuss some games this week. Lucy, what have you been up to? Been doing much? Been playing anything?
Actually today, because I got a code from the developer for a DLC.
Okay.
of a game that I very much enjoyed last year, which is Case of the Golden Idol.
Oh.
Yeah, the DLC came out literally the start of this month. I think it was a week ago, maybe on the last Thursday or last. It might have been the 4th. I can't remember. But I was just like, okay, I had some rubbish things to do in the last week, and it's
Hmm.
like I just want to on Wednesday. I mean, I haven't even showered, Ben. Just stay in my bed. I comb my
I know
hair
the
just
feeling,
because
mate.
I
I
have some
absolutely know the feeling.
standards.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, but it's like I'm just gonna lie in my bed and play the DLC of Case of the Golden Idol, which is called because it has a
Okay.
subtitle. Case of the Golden Idol, and it's basically a prequel to the main game, the chapters in the main game.
Hmm.
Gosh, let's have a look. DLC. Um, Come on, Steam. I thought you had better search things. Okay, it's called The Spider of Lanka. Um, so it's set in, well, it says set in the fictional kingdom of Lanka, but as you can deduce from the name, it's set somewhere, somewhere in Central Asia, most
Hmm. Hmm.
likely. But it's the prequel to the Case of the Golden Idol, which I mean, the whole game is about this idol and this kind of like weird like alchemic powers that it has. So I think this is basically setting up where this idol came from and how it started its transport through many different people's
Hmm.
hands. I'm on the second of 3 chapters of the DLC, and I think difficulty wise they're probably somewhere between maybe the later stage chapters in the main game, and then the ones at the very end, which are quite long and interweaved and
Hmm.
interwoven and stuff like that. So I'd say difficulty level is probably about 3 to 4 out of 5 of these. So it's just like pretty much picking up where you left off. I mean, if you played the base game, which everybody should, um, it's you're familiar with the mechanics. It's basically it's a mystery game, and in each it has all these different scenarios, these different vignettes per each chapter, and it's about basically deducing who these people are, what the scenario was, what
Hmm.
happened, what transpired, who killed who, what was the motive, what was the reason, and just basically getting you know looking around these environments, they're basically static environments, and just like looking for clues, and like each clue that you find, so say like you click on a knife, like the word knife just goes into like this little journal,
Hmm.
basically your little thinking tab, because there's an exploration tab where you can look through the environment and look for clues, and then basically a thinking tab, which basically almost like textbook style wants you to fill in all the different words, all the different verbs, all the different like people, all the different nouns, all the proper nouns, and just like murder weapons and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
it's basically filling that out and solving the mystery in that way. Um, as a little recap for Case of the Golden Idol, if you haven't played it out there, which again you absolutely should, because it is one of like the best detective games out there. I'm just thinking, once I finish that 3rd chapter, I'm gonna need another fix. I might have to go to the depths of Steam and look for some other detective game. But yeah, it's just so good. Like I think maybe the art could put people off, but once you get into it,
Mm.
it's fantastic. It's like that was initially what I was always like on the fence at the when it first came out. But I think I saw like reviews coming out. Well, maybe I just took a punt, and it was like, okay, what was I on about with the art style? Like sort of like uh, Curse of the Monk. Well, whatever the Monkey Island game that came out last year. I can't remember what it was exactly called, the subtitle, but a lot of people were like up in arms about the art, and I was like, it's not my favorite, but it's a Monkey Island game. I'm gonna buy it, obviously. but in motion, the art in that Monkey Island game is fantastic. Some of the best art I saw last year. So, but yeah, this is the art's really good. It's like pixelated and it just looks weird in a very good way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost that little bit kind of like Adult Swim sort of level of animation. If you think of kind of like normal animated stuff, and then you think of like Adult Swim, like stuff like kind of like Death Clock, or even you go back to things like Beavis and Butthead, or even in some cases like Ren and Stimpy and stuff. It's that to normal kind of animation, isn't it? And the Golden Idol is that pixel art to kind of normal pixel art.
Yeah, those are good shout outs there with especially Beavis and Butthead, because a lot of the characters just look goofy. But I swear the art has just got like even more detailed. It still retains like the same spirit, but maybe this is just false memory syndrome. Maybe I should go back and look at, the original 6 chapters, which are instantly accessible from the game. It's like even if you just pick up both the normal game and the DLC, I think you could probably just start the DLC first, as it is a prequel, and then go back to the main game. Don't quote me on that. Probably have to start a new save to check on that. But it is just like it retains that core, the core mechanics, the core art. But yeah, I just swear the art has just gotten better. But
gotta say that
it's way more expressive.
With the you're talking about that kind of level of difficulty to the DLC being more maybe mid to late game kind of stage.
Yeah.
Do you think that people would then, if they started the DLC first, because it is prequel kind of stuff, and you see this almost like chronologically through, that actually then the first kind of chapters of the Golden Idol might be a little bit kind of rote at that point, and you might get a bit turned off from the main game, perhaps?
I think they would have to tutorialize it to go into the DLC first, and it's probably like, why put in that extra work when they just work perfectly well as an anthology this way around. But yeah, no, like the thing is, like every one I look at, it's like, so sometimes the scenario is like just one screen. Like the first chapter in the DLC is just basically this kind of card game gone wrong. Just this single like saloon room. It's like there's like 8 bodies or 6 bodies, and it's just like, okay, something went wrong here. And then like the second chapter, which I just completed, it's like, okay, you have to go over here, and there's another room, and this other vignette, and then over here, and there's like probably about 4 different screens you have to look at. But even when just going to it's just very more confined kind of straightforward thing. No matter the difficulty, it's just always fun. Like they could mix it up, mix and match. It isn't in the base game. It is very much a curve of progression and difficulty, but they could just add easy give me more. I don't care what it is. Basically, it's just it could be easy, could be difficult, could be medium.
Like I don't know what their plan is, their business plan is, kind of, because the game is called Golden Idol Mysteries: The Spider of Lanka as the DLC, which would suggest that maybe there's more mysteries to this. Whether it's kind of not necessarily sequels, but sort of little interstitials between those kind of. Because the first game's over a bit of time, isn't it? So maybe a little bit's kind of in between that, or stuff like that. It gives.
God, Ben, I hope so.
It gives the developer a broad range of stuff to be able to kind of play with, I guess.
Because I think it's probably been about 9-10 months. I think it came around in around September last year. So what's that? I've just on
the page. It came out in October.
Yes.
So we're sort of 7 months afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, if they could stay on that cadence, I'd be happy. I mean, probably they probably didn't. Well, I may be speaking ignorantly, but maybe they didn't plan any DLC until they saw that it did very well. So maybe if they thought this game's done well, people obviously love it. I mean, it's won awards.
Hmm.
You know, it's very well thought of, and you know, by reviewers and gamers alike. So it's like, yeah, maybe now they're just like thinking, okay, we've got something here. You know, maybe a few more DLC drops. See what the retention is like,
Yeah.
because it's crazy. Like, well, it's not crazy, but you know, not a lot of people buy DLC. You know, a lot of people move on. But when it's so, you know, something that's just, it's not like, let's say, Horizon Frozen Wilds or something where it's like you got to learn all the mechanics again and you got to learn
Yeah.
the combat. This is just like, okay, it's very simple mechanics. It's very intuitive anyway.
Hmm.
You know, I didn't need any refresher. I just picked it back up and it was like, oh yeah, I remember this. You know, it's it's so intuitive that you don't
Mm.
need a refresher. So I see, you know, I hope that this will get a big attachment rate because I want people to buy it so I get more.
Nice,
But,
nice.
yeah, but
Manifest this. Shoot it out there.
yeah,
Absolutely. Buy
yeah,
this so we get some more.
yeah. And I will say that the music throughout the entire game is just fantastic. Though it's
Nice.
like it's just such a mood setter because when you've got like these static, you know, vignettes, even though the art's really good, just the music just helps so much with the setting and
Hmm.
the intrigue and all the shady things that are going on. Because yeah, the there are some weird scenarios about like, okay, you're thinking, okay, in the first episode of this one, it's like, okay, a card game gone wrong. People think, you know, probably think people are cheating and they all
Hmm.
kill each other. You know, not something that we've seen before. And then there's just like, okay, in the second mission, it's like all these crazy spiritualistic rites and stuff like that. And it's like, it isn't just straightforward. Oh, I've seen this done in like mystery detective games, you know, kind of scenarios. This is like, okay, this is completely in-game universe lore. I have to figure out what the hell is going on because it's,
Hmm.
as I say, it's got that kind of like, you know, the whole thing with the idol is that it's like some alchemic kind of weird Indiana Jones kind of thing. So it's like they can make up whatever they want, and but it still feels grounded and it still feels like it doesn't feel too magical and fantastical.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really enjoying it, Ben, and I'm gonna cry when it's over when I finish it tonight. I've got my little notebook out. It's like it's one of those games like it's just yeah.
I suppose, as we were saying, kind of, if they can take it through that time, you could
Mhm.
almost get up to, like, not even necessarily Indiana Jones like time. There's nothing to say that they can't just fucking throw this into the future as well.
Yeah,
And actually, there's a
yeah.
DLC that's set in like 2085 or something.
I'd play that.
You know, that kind of throws it out a little bit, you know, more sort of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the
Oh
one
god,
thing
that
that,
would be so good. Like Alien, find out who's
yeah,
the android or whatever.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. The one thing that I really enjoy on the Steam page, and that I am absolutely going to use for the thumbnail for this week, is there is a page where, or a screenshot, where there's a man lying on the ground, I guess, with an axe in his head,
Right.
and
Okay.
the tag just says, "The man is not breathing." Like, absolutely fucking not.
Yep.
Just got a massive
Yep.
axe in his head. Yep. Yep. And, you know, a good screenshot goes a long way. It absolutely conveys the humour and the tone
Yeah.
very, very well with just that single kind of screenshot. So,
Yeah. It looks like the developer's not afraid to get weird with it, which is
yeah.
good. But yeah, it's Color Grade Games, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're from Latvia. And
Okay.
yeah, this looks like their debut title, at least on Steam. So it's like, what a way to knock it out of the park. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they obviously was thinking like, you know, we need more detective games, and they just made a very good one, you know. Yeah.
If anyone's maybe potentially on the fence about it, there is a free demo as well for the main game.
That's even better.
So, which looked like it came out in September of last year, and they have just left it. Oh no, September of 2021. It suggests that the demo was put up. So
Did I play that? I can't even remember. But yeah, go play it now. Yes,
yeah,
Ben said if you're on the fence,
absolutely.
go do it. I want to know how far Adil's got with his playthrough, because I knew he was playing it with his special lady friend, I think.
Yes, they were. I don't know. I know. Last I spoke to him, it was finding time that they actually both had together, where they were like, "Let's play a game," rather than we're doing something or we're out here, sort of thing. So who knows?
Yeah, but it is one of those where it's like you can just pick it up and play, so it's perfect for that, really. So
Good, perfect. Well, yeah, I mean, mentioning it has a demo kind of leads me into me sort of... I don't want to talk about the demos I've played from Ludonarracon, because I've started tapping some words down for each of them. I might throw some stuff together just to sort of round up some of the demos that I played. But I put a bit of time... I've actually found some time to play some games.
Was it behind the sofa?
No, mate, it was behind the fucking fridge. It was a pain in the ass to move. But I've so far been able to play through the demos for Cryptmaster, the Invincible, and 1,000 times Resist. I think it's 1,000 times. 1,000x Resist. It's just a few games. The Invincible I've seen and I've had my eye on for a while, but the other couple of games I just randomly was looking through the Ludonarracon kind of like demos page on Steam. I'm like, that looks interesting. Cryptmaster had an absolute excellent art style, and I'm like, yes, I need to have a look at what this is.
Or is it a word based?
It's a word based game. It's very, very good.
I'm downloading this.
I think at the moment Cryptmaster is my favourite of the demos I played. I do have Stray Gods installed as well, which is the new Don't Nod game, which will be coming out at some point. But I need to delve back in and go, cool, I've got like an hour. I think it's because of the bank holiday. I had that little bit of extra time to take in a couple of games. But if anyone is, at a loose end, there's a bunch of demos out because of Ludonarracon at the moment. So is it still on? It's got to be still on.
This demo is still up, so yes, it might. When does it end?
Ludonarracon may have finished, but
it's still okay. I'm going to Ludonarracon. It's still at the top of the Steam page, the hub. I mean, there's still a lot of demos available, so some of them, I think it's hit and miss a lot of the time, but some of them do remain there after, and some disappear. But if you install them anyway, just go into the game files and you can still launch it.
Yeah.
Even if it's removed from the store. So that's what I tend to do, because never get around to playing 500 demos every time there's a festival. But if I'm like, oh yeah, that's coming out, I thought that looked cool, never got around to playing the demo, but I installed it, I can just go into the game files and play it.
Absolutely.
Like I did with Neon White, and it was the best decision I ever made, because that was a good game.
Yeah, ultimately,
the demo sold me in like
right.
30 seconds. I'm just like, this is wicked, and I'm gonna keep playing it on my big screen and just continue to get motion sick before I can try and put it down. Good job it was just a demo, so it didn't last long. It was just like, it's like, yep, I'm buying this. Cool.
Nice.
This is why we need demos on everything. I'm sorry. It's like,
I completely
can't
agree.
imagine it turns more people away. I can't imagine that.
No.
Then it sells.
Again, there's demos for Goodbye Volcano High, which is a game that's coming out this year, I think. A demo for The Pale Beyond, which is a game that has already come out this year. So again, then throwing out a demo to try and get some more kind of buzz and stuff for the game, which if you are a Waypoint Radio listener, not anymore because it's done.
Yeah,
But
what a bummer. What a
Rob very
bummer
much
that is.
enjoyed the Pale Beyond, so that's very much kind of one of those where like, oh, should I just buy it or should I play the demo? Probably play the demo first. But there's like 35, 40 demos, something like that. A bunch of stuff on here, like a massive range of games to play. But I kind of spent some time with those demos, and I then found myself a couple of days ago with the PlayStation, and I booted Jet back up and played about another hour of Jet.
Okay.
And I think in the last episode I said I might play another hour and see how I feel, and I did, and I've just stopped playing.
Yeah.
It kind of like it progressed as I kind of feared that it sort of would. It was like, oh, just go and have a look at this and kind of do a little bit of this. It was maybe not quite as open as I would have liked it to be, and it maintained that kind of slow pace. Like I'm doing stuff, and it's like talking about it 10 minutes later. Like I did that ages ago. Why are we still discussing this kind of thing? So I very much dropped that and started up Life is Strange True Colors, which was already installed on the machine. It was something I've wanted to play for a while, and have gone through the first chapter and maybe half of the second chapter as well. And it's a Life is Strange game. You know exactly what you're getting with it. But it like Jet, it is good, but it also has not necessarily problems, but a couple of sort of things to sort of maybe pick at a little bit. And I would be interested in going back to the original Life is Strange to see, because it's a different developer. It's, what are they called?
Oh god, Deck 9.
Deck
Was
9,
it them?
yes, that's right, yes. And they did the DLC for Life is Strange. I think the Before the Storm DLC.
Yes. Which I mean, that's the thing. Like Life is Strange. When did the first one come out? Like 2014, 2015.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah.
I mean, may not have aged well. So, especially with games like this, especially I guess with the technology as well. Like some of the lip syncing and stuff, I remember was an issue. But just more so of like content, it might be a bit, I don't know, a bit cringier than a first time round. Just that's the way most things go. Most media is,
absolutely,
things don't age too well.
In
In a lot of respects, but it came off Game Pass, the True Colors one, because I've always wanted to get around to it. I'm just not. It's the same way I'm with Telltale games and Lego games. I'm not ready to quite go back into that well, because there was a time where a lot of them came out, and it was like I binged and I over binged.
Yep.
And but it's certainly one I want to get around to again.
Well, I would.
Franchise.
I mean, it very much feels like Life is Strange hasn't progressed very much.
Right. Okay.
Like I like the characters. I like the idea that the main character Alex essentially just has a greater level of empathy and feels people's overspill of emotion a lot, and that affects her kind of mood, and as she is discovering, she can use it to get into kind of people's heads to look at things in different ways, or look at things how those people perceive things, to be able to kind of solve the puzzle that is kind of in front of her, sort of thing. And that kind of works well enough, that bit of progression. But stuff like the kind of like the graphics feel a little bit dated now, even though it looks
Oh,
beautiful. It's very
really?
vibrant.
Mm,
I am playing on a base PS4 still,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
it is going to look different on other machines. Some of the writing again it feels a bit better,
Mm-hmm.
but there are a couple of moments where you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can just don't worry about it. Fine. The conversation's already moved on with the characters, so let's
Yeah.
just leave it at that. And there's and it's a little bit maybe not rote in what you're kind of doing, but it's very familiar in what you're doing,
Yeah.
which is fine, but it just doesn't feel like it's moved very much. And it's almost made me more interested in Life is Strange 2 to see what
Oh
they
gosh, yeah.
did with that,
Mm.
to see if basically the first, second, and third game are just almost kind of carbon copies of each other with different scenarios and different kind of characters in
Yeah.
them. Because I know there
Yeah,
was
I couldn't get into Life is Strange too. I just
I,
couldn't.
we talked about the like prequel-y kind of free thing that came out, didn't we? A long time ago.
Captain Spirit one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which kind of suggested that it was probably going to be very similar to the first game, but it feels like the third game, which only came out, maybe not last year, maybe 2021. It's either a 2021 or a 2022 game, but it just doesn't feel like it's moved on.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of bits where I've been like, oh, I can see what's going to happen here, and it does. And you're like, I really wish this hadn't. I really wish the story had gone in a different way. I don't need the big kind of trauma moment to then set in how this character is going to live through this. Actually, it would have been much more interesting for that not to have happened, and for the other characters to have interacted in this other kind of way. It almost feels like,
and that's unavoidable. I'm guessing that's just part of the story.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Even though I've made some different decisions, you've made decisions by that point, and when as it does with these games, it gets to the end of the chapter and says, you and 25% of people, you and 95% of people did this option. Nothing really feels, and again, it's the problem with these games, nothing feels like there's any consequence to the decisions that I have made. And that might pay off later. We always talk about this, how it's, you want that kind of payoff. You want there to be, and it's very difficult to do, right? Episode 5 of Life is Strange will be completely different to your playthrough of episode 5 of Life is Strange. If you've made these 3 key decisions in episode 1, you've made these 2 in episode 2, you've made, those stacks through. And it's opposite to what I've done. Episode 5 could be 12 different scenarios, 12 different games based upon playing that. And it's a balancing act in how they get to that point, in having some things that will absolutely happen. And it's maybe just an interaction with a character which is different, but you still have to have that interaction with the character. It's just different to me and to you, but it still progresses the game in the same kind of way. Like they feel like they remove the agency.
It is a lot of the times the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
I think the one that got it right and did it the best was all the way back in, what was it, 2012, when the first Walking Dead game came out. That was like the biggest that I can remember, like differences and discrepancies between playthroughs. Like main characters are just not there anymore.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
It's maybe we're just not the audience for it at this time. Maybe it's like, okay, that will be somebody's first Life is Strange game. And maybe they don't have like stuff that, well, you say it came out in 2021 or something, but like say in the last year I played stuff like Citizen Sleeper and Norco
Mm.
just popped into my head because I saw it on the Steam page there. Oh, it's 50% off. Go pick that up, everyone. Which is Norco's so good. But anyway, but it's like
Which also has a
those
demo
kind of
because of Ludonarragon. Yeah.
go play it. But yeah, those kinds of like narrative games. But that being said, because Coffee Talk is next to Norco on the Steam page, like I need to get back to Coffee Talk. I just need to be in that very relaxed state that I like to be. Instead of like, I don't know, smoking or drinking, I play Coffee Talk when I'm just chilled out in a relaxed state. But yeah, that's not so far not too different from the first game, but I guess it's the difference between Coffee Talk. It's probably going to be like 3-4 hours of my time, whereas True Colors, I mean, it's 5 episodes. What, there's going to be 2, maybe 3 hours each.
Yeah.
That's like 15 hours of your life.
Absolutely.
You know? It's like, if you know there's not going to be any big swings because it has to follow a very particular plot, maybe the plot's still interesting, but yes, as you say, maybe taking that agency away takes away a big part of the game, because it's like a lot of people play visual novels and let's say dating sims and stuff like that because they want to there's different outcomes. So just thinking of, it's very reductive to say, but like just moving pictures for a story that you're not exactly sold on, that definitely takes away from the experience of playing those Life is Strange games. But and yeah, have you bought into like any of the characters, like who they are apart from the main character and like their?
I mean, apart from the main character, no. Like, well, okay, not to spoil it, but I'm going to spoil the first episode because the Steam page ultimately spoils the first episode. The Steam page
anyway,
about the game, blah 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 blah. When her brother dies in a so-called accident,
yeah,
it's like,
I think I remember that
that's
being
the
just
end
like,
of the first fucking
I knew she had a brother. Yeah,
like that's the big sort of like thing, and I'm like, when it was happening, and we were sort of towards the end, I'm like,
yeah,
I've got a feeling he dies. Something like something in my mind is telling me that he dies in this, and it is because clearly everything is already telling me that he dies, and I already kind of knew.
Play a whole episode to get to that point.
You know, yes, and as we were kind of saying, like getting to that point through the first episode, there is no difference. That will happen, right?
Yeah,
doesn't really matter. That's going to happen. So I think it's almost everything that kind of comes afterwards that not necessarily matters, but the first episode, like many kind of first episodes, goes, here is the cast of characters. You've got 5 minutes with this one, and then 5 minutes with them a little bit later. You've got 10 minutes with this one now, and you'll never see them kind of again, apart from maybe in episode 3 or something like that. So, apart from Alex, the main character, and her brother, you do not really delve into the other characters much. There's a couple of little storylines that push through which do kind of go, this guy's a bit of a dick, or this guy seems okay, but you don't delve enough into those other characters in the first episode to get much of a feel about them. Again, things progress in the second episode, so as they will do, by the time we get to the end, absolutely, you'll have a very different take on many of these kinds of characters than you do at the start of it, and you'll have had a lot more time with a lot of them as well. I think one of the differences that True Colors gives you is that you are in, I suppose that's the first game, is you're in a town, but at least in this element you can kind of, True Colors, you can just move through like the high street and everything is off the high street, right? Whereas Life is Strange was, you're now kind of on the coast. Here's the diner. Here's the thing. Now you're at the school, and all of it. You know, you're moving between those locations, and then a lot of stuff is just at the school, and then some stuff is just in the town, and you can't just freely move between those kinds of locations. So it kind of opens it up a little bit more to some agency and kind of exploration. I just don't think the first episode is a good example of maybe what the game is and is going to allow you to do.
Yeah, that's fair. That's how I felt about Life is Strange too.
Okay.
The opening is like really shocking, but once you get past that, it just kind of slows to a crawl. And I get like, there's got to be down moments in between the high octane or high anxiety moments and stuff like that. But when everything, I mean, Life is Strange anyway. It's just a very slow paced game. You know what I mean? So maybe the second one didn't quite work to that stretch because it's basically two brothers on the lam.
Yes.
They're running from the police, but whereas like, in certainly True Colors and the first game, it's just like, yeah, we're in like a nice little sleepy town, bit slower paced and stuff like that. But I don't know, as I said, maybe it's just a different time. Maybe, as you say, if I played Life is Strange now, then maybe it just would never have that effect on me, like the first did. I really enjoyed the first one. It was great. But yeah, it's a shame. But I think that there's a reason why I didn't get around to it, because it's just like, is that formula still going to work for me? And I'm sure one of the times it will, but from everything that you said, I think maybe that was my reticence to like play it, because like games that I want to play on Game Pass, I play them. Like, that reminds me, I should really play Umurangi Generation because I was leaving. But yeah.
Interestingly, I've just jumped onto the Life is Strange episode 1 page on Steam. Right. It's a 2015 game. And graphically doesn't look that different to True Colors.
Oh, really?
This is not the remastered version.
No.
Either. This is just the standard free, because the first episode is free for the original Life is Strange. And again, 2015, we're going back 8 years. Absolutely, that hit at a very specific point for a lot of people. And 8 years is a big kind of maturation period, I think, for people who would have been really grabbed by the first game, for it to not have progressed with those people as a series, as a franchise, and it always maybe, or not always, but potentially chasing that group of people. Like, here's the second game. We're not moved with that age. We've kind of, we're somewhere in the middle, and then the third game isn't anywhere near the age of those people. It's kind of dragged you sort of back down, and it's always following. The main protagonists, I suppose, of the first game are kind of late teenage girls. The second game is two brothers, isn't it? A teenager and a preteen, I think. And then
he's like 10.
Yeah. And then the third game, Alex is maybe late teens again, maybe early 20s. I don't think it actually tells me at any point.
Well, as I say, it's probably just a new audience of people. Like, let's bring in the next group of teenagers and make them cry.
Well, what's been really interesting recently is that Life is Strange True Colors has not really elicited much from me. Like, I played it through and I've gone, okay, cool, yeah, I've hit the beats, I've seen this. And again, he gets to the end of the first episode, the brother dies, and I'm like, yeah, it's a little bit telegraphed. You can kind of see that sort of shit. And yet, and this is maybe, it's more, potentially more me, but I've got this big thing in my head at the moment that, and it's something I've thought about for years, that people need to kind of detach themselves from franchises and being those kinds of fanboys and not having nostalgia, but potentially being able to have like sentimentality around stuff.
Right.
So still being able to feel everything that you want to around about that, but actually realizing that the franchise can do what it wants, but you are attached to the older things that you enjoy about that. And it hit me when I've just watched Picard season 3, and there's moments in that where I'm like, this like moment where they're all back on the bridge of the Enterprise, and I'm like, yes, that's absolutely hit me. And I'm kind of sat there and I'm sort of welling slightly, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I put on Creed 2 earlier, just while I'm working in the background. I've not seen it before. And it just gives the like as Adonis is chatting to Rocky, because he's in Creed 2, it just plays the little like light refrain from the Rocky films, and I'm like,
yeah. I watched Creed 3 on the weekend.
yeah, oh nice, okay.
Creed 2 is probably my least favorite out of them all, but yeah, it still has its moments. I still think Creed 1 is my favorite.
Creed, like, it's such a good film.
Yeah, because Creed 3 doesn't have Rocky in it, and you lose something when Sylvester Stallone isn't there warbling. So it's just it's fine. But it's still a really good film. It's basically just an anime, just people punching each other in slow motion. But no, it's good. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I was like, this is getting me. But no, like first Creed is just, it's like one of my favorite Rocky films. Like, I think it's better than 75% of the Rocky films. You know, it's like top 3 for me. Yeah, top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the original, but you got Rocky 4. It's like in the Siberian.
Absolutely. I'm well with you on this. Like the original Rocky, yes, absolutely top tier, fucking brilliant film. Like just absurd for the kind of film that it is. That it is so good. Like 4, they're well into the franchise now. They've got all the money, yet it's still kind of. Again, it's sentimentality rather than nostalgia. It pulls back to those points that you want it to from the original film. And Creed does a very similar kind of thing. It goes, yes, we're taking the franchise off in this kind of direction now, but we're pulling it back enough to some of this. And I think that's maybe where Creed 2 falls a little bit short. But they've kind of gone, let's pull it back to Rocky 4, which is, everyone goes Rocky 4, so let's go Creed Rocky 4 and pull it back to that kind of point. But again, you don't get enough time with like Drago's son. You don't have the same kind of like storyline and stuff with it. It's very quick in its hits. It's like fight, cool, shit. He gets fucked up and it moves very, very quickly. So to hear that maybe Creed 3 is more like an anime, like they just stood there for ages, going, I mean, powering up massively, and then just beating the shit out of each other. Cool. It's
very focused on like the grit and the glamour of boxing. It's just like, I don't think it has a good story as well, but it's better than Creed 2.
Okay.
Much better than Creed 2. But yeah, it was good. It was good. I was just like having to pause every now and then, just like, best do some push-ups. I feel bad. These people, Right, okay.
It's when you look at them and they're just sort of like,
fucking
massive,
like,
and you're like,
oh my god,
mate, I look like that, and then you're like, I don't look like that. No, absolutely fucking, I've never looked like that. I'm nowhere fucking near that. Jesus Christ, those fucking humans are absolutely absurd.
It's just nuts. But yeah, it's got a good montage. I mean, that's basically the quality of the Rocky film. You don't even have to watch them all. Just skip to 2/3 of the way through, watch the montage.
Yep.
Just the montage. It's like, is this a good montage? Yeah, okay.
Is Michael B. Jordan high-fiving in the sea with someone just randomly, just like, hey, and they're really short shorts, just...
Isn't it the first? Is it the first one where he's sparring underwater? Or is that the second one? I can't remember.
He does spar underwater in the second one. Yeah.
Okay, that's the second one. There. That's pretty good. Yeah. Someone's got that YouTube video, just Rocky montages, all from 1 to
all through the
3. Yeah, I would put that on repeat. Just like if I was on death row, just play that.
it like a random thought that's just come to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that with those kind of montages, it's very interesting that you get a different level between different films, right? So you get like the original Predator, which has the montage of Schwarzenegger building all the traps towards the end and kind of covering himself in mud and all this sort of stuff. And that ends with the like one of the most fucking iconic scenes where he's just stood on the fucking log, just goes, and just holds the torch in the air. And then Rocky 4, you get the montage, and he kind of like he's working out in Siberia and all this sort of stuff, and he runs up the mountain. And he's like, "Yay!" at the top of the fucking mountain. You're like,
Yeah.
kind of. A little bit.
He's gone from like
bit
the
lackluster,
steps in Pennsylvania
maybe. Like
to the mountains in Siberia. It's just so stupid. I love it. It's so good.
But it's similar. Like when you're talking about Life is Strange, it's similar to like the first game where you are hit by these emotional points, and in the third game you're like, yeah, right, cool,
Yeah.
okay, sure. Like the brother's dead. That shit. It would have been better if he'd lived. I'd much rather understood the dynamic between Alex and her brother moving forward. That would have been a much more interesting story. Without me having played any of them. Like, you know, I played an hour of the second episode rather than the rest of it. But I can already tell that if her brother was around, that would be more interesting.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
the issue of sequels, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like that's why you can never be beholden to any particular franchise or developer, I guess, or
Absolutely,
because it's just like, you know, people don't always get it right. I mean, it's called sophomore slump for a reason. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's just like it doesn't negate how your relationship with the first thing in the series, but it's just like, yeah, it's just like it's not going to, as you say, fanboys. It's like it's crushed their world if something isn't good the second time around. It's like, who cares?
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
It's the thing that I love to kind of to sort of tell to people. The original still exists.
Yes.
Maybe not for Star Wars. They've been changed. But with lots of other things, Star Wars babies are the fucking biggest babies. But, and I love Star Wars. I'm a huge fucking Star Wars fan. So.
No.
But with stuff, you still have the original a lot of the time. You can go back, and even watching Creed 2, like, I need to go and watch the first Rocky film.
Yeah.
Like the thing that moment where they're talking and it just plays that, like, I'm sure it's called like Adrian's theme on the soundtrack, where it plays that refrain and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. I have to now go back and watch the first film.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think there's anything that I've ever had in my life where it's like the second thing or whatever retroactively destroys my love for the first. I don't think that's ever happened.
No.
No. So, yeah, it's a strange one. I mean, you can be a bit disappointed, but like, people go over the top with it, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
It just makes no sense to me. It's like, the original exists. Go watch that. Completely. It's not like, I mean, most video games. Most films, certainly all films, you can go back and watch. I'm guessing a lot of games that have sequels now or whatever, you know, that have been a part of a franchise. The first is still always, you know, available, unless, you know, someone like Rockstar yanks like original versions off Steam or something. But,
like modern franchises, right? So I very much think of Bethesda for this. So like Doom Eternal. But you can always go back and play Doom 2016.
Yeah. And I should do that.
What was the...
Give me an idea.
Absolutely. Like Wolfenstein with the two girls.
I didn't play... Did you play that one?
I did, yes.
Oh, right, okay.
You can very much just go back and play The New Order.
Yes.
Or even
The
just
new
go and
Colossus,
just
which is even very good.
so like, or the old blood, the new order, and the old blood. I think was the DLC, wasn't
Old Blood.
it?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can just go back and play that.
Oh, they need to make the third one. I want to fight Mecha
You got to
Hitler.
imagine they've got to be there, right? They've got to be there. So like, BJ
I
turns
don't
up in
know.
the
They're making that
the
Indiana
twins kind of
Jones
game.
game,
Sack it
which
off. Just make
I
fucking
mean,
more
I'll
Wolfenstein.
play first person with action. Yeah, that's not a porn game.
Definitely is.
Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah. I'll
exists on
play an
Steam.
Indiana Jones game, but I'd prefer Wolfenstein 3,
Yeah,
to be
absolutely.
honest.
Yeah.
The second one, the story, the gameplay got worse, but the story was just like it's one of the best in video games. Holy Christ, so good.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Should we finish there for this week? Or have you got? Is there anything
Yeah.
else to touch on potentially?
No. I just want to quickly say, I guess it's not on sale anymore. But there's a game called, is it Moons or Moons of Darsalon? Darsalon spelled Darsalon. It's I played the demo, Ben. What a novel idea.
Demo.
Because there was a demo available. Has it still got? It's still got a demo.
Oh.
It is basically. I mean, go and look at the Steam page. It basically looks like SNES era or like Sega Genesis kind of Earthworm Jim
Yes.
/ almost Donkey Kong Country-esque.
It's almost Earthworm Jim crossed with Lemmings, almost, isn't
Yeah,
it?
basically. It's basically because I mean I love Lemmings, and it's very Lemmings / Abe's Odyssey, kind of platformer where you're just basically having to recruit these guys and say, "Get to the end, please," without dying. Yeah, so that's basically what it is, and it's actually pretty fun. I downloaded. I think I did a few levels. Downloaded the demo, and I don't think it carried my progress over, but I need to go back to it. But yeah, it's just very much my kind of niche, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it my niche, or is it just like looks very stupid? Like even some of the platforming is just like very janky, and calling like some of your guys is like very inconsistent and a bit janky, like pressing on the D-pad to be like go over there or stay or follow me or something like that. It seems a bit inconsistent, and the platforming can feel a little bit like, shouldn't I have been able to reach that ledge? Why did I like kind of have to make a second attempt just to grab onto this ledge or something like that? So it seems a bit, maybe intentionally a bit rough around the edges.
Okay.
It's just like this is nostalgia in a nice sort of fondue pot, and I enjoy it. It just and it's like a good sense of humor. It's just stupid.
Yeah. And I guess it's we say about sack off nostalgia for something like sentimentality instead, which is great when you're talking about an actual franchise. But when you're looking at something that is new like this, nostalgia actually works really, really well for it to kind of pull you in, for it to then go, yes, but we're also doing all of these kinds of things. And you go, cool. I'm now on board. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It looks very, very cool.
It's got some like wacky physics in it. So yeah, it's, as I say, just makes everything look funnier. Just a bit more inconsistent. Like, and to the point where it's like you don't have to save them all. You need certain amounts of them to get past certain things. Like say like a gate where it's got like a weighted pad, and it's like, okay, I need 5 of you guys, and I could see it getting like a bit frustrating if it's like there's one of them just back there not doing as you say or whatever. But it's just so charming and colourful, and as I say, it's got a good sense of humour so far. So it's just like, if I don't get them all, who cares? I'm just here for the crack.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Absolutely fair.
Yeah.
It is
So.
that kind of game, isn't it?
And works
So,
well on the Steam Deck.
yeah.
Which is where I've also been playing Case of the Golden Iron.
Mm.
Using touchscreen. So yeah.
Nice.
Games are fun now and then.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Um,
I haven't found many fun games this year, but it's just like weird crap like this that I didn't even know about, and it's like, yeah, this is pretty good.
that's what you want, though, right? That's exactly what you want.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just rewatching this GIF over and over, and just the way they run, it just amuses me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like wacky waving arm inflatable tube man, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do seem a little bit sort of erratic in their kind of in their movement.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah. Amazing. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump to the beers then and finish off the episode there. Lucy, we will come back to the Amundsen. Oh, you've got a little bit left.
Just a tiny bit left. Yeah, but yeah, it's one of those that just lasts.
Mm.
You know, to say, yeah. I mean, it looks thin from here, looks thin on camera, but no, it's got that body, and it's like, yeah, it's it's lasted for however long we've been recording, just over an hour and 15. So, it's really good. Like, just pick up a month, and you're gonna be in for a good time, regardless. You know what I mean?
Always.
Just get a blind bag of Amundsen. Just drink it. Don't even look at the can. Just pour it and just consume. It'll be good. But yeah, I can't remember the last time I had one of their beers that was this low in percentage. Can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But it's giving me the same good, warm, fuzzy feelings that all of their other beers do, and it's just a testament to how good they are at stouts. So yeah, the Scream Egg series. I can't remember what the other ones were, or how many of them were there were, but if they're still kicking about, even if it's like something weird, like as long as it's not mint, I might just pick it up and just try it, because what will it be? Average at best, or at worst, rather. You know what I mean?
Average at worst, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Good.
Very
Nice.
good.
Nice.
Did you get any more flavour from your double IPA?
I didn't get any more flavour. It just sort of.
Or aftertaste, I should say.
Yeah, it did kind of extend itself a little bit. And I suppose because I drunk it more, that aftertaste lingered that little bit more because I'd had more and more and more of it, I think. Yeah. And it sort of, it is the flavours that I kind of described. It didn't change in any sort of way. It just retained a little bit more on the palate. So, yeah, as I've sort of like finished it, I've still got a little bit of that flavour kind of with me. So, and that progressed through, reasonably well kind of through the beer. So, not much more to kind of say about it, really. It's a nice collaboration. I think it's one of those where, a lot of Arbor cans, a lot of pint cans, when they're getting up to that 8% or so, they sort of say it's a bit of a sharer. They don't with this. And very much like don't share it. Like, not get through that first kind of third of it, but experience the first third, and then it will start to kind of just kind of meld together a little bit sort of better. The difference between the sort of the first and the mid won't be quite as dramatic. It isn't that quite sort of long draw out where you're like, oh, this has moved into something. Like it moves through a little bit even slower than that, and then it lingers that little bit longer as well. So it does sort of stick around a little bit more when you're in that sort of second and third of the beer. So yeah, it's nice. It sits very well as a sort of a final beer for kind of the evening. So
don't see much marble in my neck of the woods.
No.
See, like their standard ones where, gosh, they do They do an Earl Grey. Is it IPA? It's not a lager, is it? I think they do an. And they do. Gosh, what is it? Just their standard lager or something like that. But yeah, I don't see much for them. So
No, I don't.
worth a shot.
See
Worth a
barely
pop.
anything down here actually from Marble. So yeah, definitely worth it just to experience something that they have had a hand in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Can't all be winners. Can't all be winners.
That's very true. I've got more beers. I picked up a couple of other Arbor cans that were in the fridge. So potentially go down.
You'll be all right, folks. You'll be all right. You'll live.
Just. It depends what I'm playing next, I guess. To know how much enjoyment I will get from life. You've seen my small child and wife walk through the door to see exactly what I'm going to be experiencing for the next half an hour or so.
You've been summoned.
Yeah. It's time to go and soothe a very teethy small baby to make sure that she's no longer a teethy small baby and get her back to sleep. Yes. That's the next hour of my life. But the next hour of your life can be very different. You can rate and review us on your podcast service of choice. You can go to outoflives.net and look at all of the other articles, or go to our YouTube page and look at our beautiful faces and all of the beers that we have been drinking. Or on your podcast service of choice, rate and review us. It's always helpful. Keeps the conversation going. That's a very quick roundup of all of the places. I'm at Nova_47. Lucy is
Juicy Loose 9.
And we are at Tanked Up Cast on the socials. I think that's it. My mind has gone blank. I can't think of anything else. Sure, thanks for being here.
Read stuff.
Anything. Read anything. Anything's better than just mindless games, isn't it? Fuck games. They're mindless and shit. Read something.
Children.
Words. They're for adults, because children don't understand words in reading. Yes, Lucy, any more thoughts to finish?
Go live your lives, people. Be happy. That's my words of wisdom for today.
Amazing.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Very
profound.
It's amazingly profound. It's so profound that we've been tanked up. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
www.outoflives.net